Good evening. Diane is on assignment tonight, and we do begin here with breaking news. We're learning just a moments ago of an attack at a base in Afghanistan. 2 U.S. Marines have been killed. We don't know if it's related to the same anti-American protests raging in the region, but it does come on a day when America witnessed a somber homecoming. Sean Smith, Glenn Doherty, Tyrone Woods, and U.S. Ambassador Chris Stevens. Their caskets met by their grieving families, the President and Secretary of State Clinton. The first time in more than 30 years a U.S. ambassador has been killed by violence. We'll have more on what the President and the Secretary of State said to those families and to the nation in just a moment. But first, we're going to get back to the latest on those Afghanistan attacks we're learning of. ABC Senior Foreign Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz in Washington tonight. And Martha, what do we know?
This is what we know right now. It was a big attack on Camp Bastion in southern Afghanistan. This is a base divided between a British side and an American side, and it was a complex attack involving many militants. As you said, 2 Marines killed, 3 or 4 wounded, and 2 Harrier aircraft damaged. The attack was carried out with rockets and small arms fire. It is apparently coming under control now, though, David.
And Martha, as we said at the top of the broadcast, we don't know if this is related to the unrest in the other part of that region, but we learned late this afternoon that this is the same base where Prince Harry is serving?
It is. Camp Bastion is where Prince Harry is based, but on the other side, we believe, where the attack occurred. And we don't know whether this had anything to do with that anti-Muslim film, David.
And in fact, all we know at this hour, 2 U.S. Marines have been killed, and we'll have more on this throughout the evening. But Martha, you and I spent the afternoon reporting on that very somber homecoming for those 4 Americans killed in Libya.
We certainly did, David, and as you said, there hasn't been an ambassador killed in a violent attack in over 30 years.
It was Ambassador Chris Stevens' flag-draped casket that was first brought off the cargo plane, U.S. Marines making the sad, solemn walk to the hangar where the families, the Secretary, the President waited to honor all of the dead.
4 Americans, 4 patriots. They loved this country, and they chose to serve it and served it well. They knew the danger, and they accepted it. They didn't simply embrace the American ideal, they lived it.
For Secretary Clinton, it was personal.
I was honored to know Ambassador Chris Stevens. Chris won friends for the United States in far-flung places. He made those people's hopes his own. During the revolution in Libya, he risked his life to help protect the Libyan people from a tyrant.
She spoke of all those lost when the Benghazi consulate was attacked by armed militants. Sean Smith, the technology specialist who leaves 2 young children behind. Tyrone Woods, a former Navy SEAL, the father of 3 little boys. And his fellow former SEAL, Glenn Doherty, a beloved son and brother.
We've seen rage and violence directed at American embassies over an awful internet video that we had nothing to do with. It is hard for the American people to make sense of that because it is senseless.
But the message of today was not just of grief, it was resolve.
So we will wipe away our tears, stiffen our spines, and face the future undaunted.
Indeed, the State Department is in crisis mode, sending additional security to embassies around the world. David?